Hey everybody, I'm going to show you how I make hairpin legs, a pretty simple method without heat. And if you stick around to the end, I'll show you how do you make an L bracket base as well. So, thanks for watching. Let's take a look. That's just some old sanding discs. Pretty clean. You put as much time as you feel necessary. Now I cut these knowing the leg length that I needed, so they're going to be 23 inches. I just set the stop block up on the bandsaw and cut them all the same. So now I just need tape measure. I'll put a center mark, 11.5. And I'm going to roll it around so that I can see it from all sides. Just basic Sharpie mark. First of all, we got to drill a hole in a hefty enough piece of metal to be able to support the bend on the vise. So I'm just going to drill a quick hole and then bring it up to the size so that the rod can comfortably slide through. And I'm just going to chuck this up so that it's enough to the point where, you'll see what I'm doing here, dropping the rod in, and then I've got a gas pipe, and I've drilled a hole in the end of a stock cap, and you can slide your cap on, do both sides. Center the mark, and then what's going to happen when you bend this is it takes a lot of pressure, and it's going to want to favor one side or the other. So you need to get equal pressure pulled, and because these slide, you have to keep them pushed in and taut so that you get a nice tight V and you're consistent on your V's. Otherwise, if you slide out and then pull, it's going to make a radius, and a hairpin leg is a hairpin. It's supposed to be, aggressive to the center. So what I sometimes do, find my mark, and on my initial bend, I'll put my knee up there, and then I'm holding it centered, and then just pull it. See how they slide out? Pull them down center. And I don't care if that mark is moved, because I'll show you how we square them up afterwards. But what we've got is certainly not on center, but a consistent bend. And then when I cut these on the bandsaw again, I'll show you how I straighten that cut up so they're both equal. Let's do another one real quick. So basically all you got is vise plate, your rod, and two gas pipe cheater bars. They don't have to be perfectly, you don't have to pull them to the same point, because they'll be a little bit off, and you can adjust them a little bit while you're working with them. When I put them on the plates, you'll see how you can make them all the same. The thing that you want is as close to the same radius at the top there. That is pretty darn close. 4 uneven, but you'll see real quick here how I straighten those out. Alright, so what I have is a little, I don't know, it's 5/8 or 3/4 inch pipe. And basically what you do is you slap this in the bandsaw, and when you slide both ends in, it comes out at that amount. So when you chuck this up, so if I bring that up to the blade, that's going to be the length on all the legs. So I'm going to do a quick test, make sure I'm not too short on any of them. Goes through, cuts it off. This one will go through, and it's extra long. But when they come out, they're exactly the same. This looks like the shortest one, double check. About a 1/4 inch. Okay, so the pipe is clamped up. The rod will be moving, but because it's got the end on it, it can't get away from you. So let's watch one real quick. See how fast they go? Looks like our shortest one. So they're both consistent. There's all 4. These are the plates I buy at the metal shop that I go to, and you can see how close they are. It's not very hard to bend that back open enough to hit that consistently. And then some people make their own. They take some flat bar, cut a 45, weld it together. This will obviously be a consistent length. And then they drill the mounting holes. I use these because the holes come in 3/8, and then I use the other 2 for bolts, and I'm not drilling any holes, and I'm not doing any welding. Pretty straight. Well, let me show you how I do a quick little clamp setup to weld them. This is just a little fixture that I use for squaring things up. So the idea is create a fixed point where you can measure from. You can bring this out depending on the angle of the leg you want, and then this is going to come up and consistently hit on a stop. I'm going to borrow one of these other legs. Simply going to extend this up. So now we're tall enough to the point where when that plate butts up against there, clamp that down, place center on the top there, and that'll give me consistency on each of the 4 legs. Drop this down, it's getting in the way a little bit. Okay, so I'm in the 2 holes, squared up, and then sitting flat on this. You could clamp that. It's not necessary. If the heat pulls it forward a little bit, it's going to pull all of them forward a little bit. So I'm only going to weld the front 3/4 of these because the way that the leg stands, the weight of the leg is actually pulling on the weld. It's going to be plenty of weld because that's 3/16 and these are 3/8. So I'm going to do a nice heavy burn-in weld on the majority around of those, and I'm going to turn the Lincoln Electric 140 up on high, and it's not going to be a lot of speed, but because of the heavy plate, I'm going to get a lot of burn-in and plenty of fill, and it'll be nice and strong. Really nicely. turn that out just a little bit. Alright. You can see how much that's burning in. That's going to be completely solid. So while I was in the process of making the hairpin legs for the coffee table, I got a request from a friend online that was interested in some hairpin legs for a project he was doing, but with the L, the 90-degree legs. So what I did is I took some flat plate that I have, and I'm going to weld just a simple 90. I'm going to space it out so I can burn in the weld pretty deep. These are fairly thick, 3/16, a little thicker than what I would normally do, but it's what I had. So I'm gonna run a strong bead through there, and then I'll clean them up and put some drill holes in later and mark my legs once I get the. Okay, number 4. Now I'll go back and take the wire reel or the grinder and take some of the nasty off that, and then drill my holes, and I'll have 4 consistent hairpin legs for a bench or a plant stand or something. And the really cool thing about the hairpin legs is you can adjust the height of the piece through the length of the rod, and then adjust the angle for how much slope you want. So I'm using the shorter ones because this is just a little simple side cabinet. Using typical bolt hardware. These same plates that have the 3/8" hole could simply have a couple of smaller holes put in for screws. But the bolts give me the ability in this situation to take them off to ship the cabinet. These bolts are a little bit long, and I'll cut those off. Okay, so got the 4 legs on, tighten them up, cut the bolts off a little bit, and you can see if I needed that to be a little bit higher, it's about probably 2 inches, I could just trade that leg out, but I'll use these on another project. This leg I wanted to see the bolts, but if I didn't want to see it, I could have just used the screws.